The serious injury done to Gregor, which disabled him for more than a month. The apple went on sticking in his body, a visible reminder, since no one ventured to remove it, seemed to have made even his father recollect, like Gregor was a member of the family, despite his present unfortunate and repulsive shape, and ought not to be treated as an enemy. That, on the contrary, family duty required. This is depression or disgust and exercise of patience, nothing but patience. And although his injury had impaired, probably forever, his powers of movement, for a time began, it took him time, long minutes, to creep across his room like an old invalid. There was no question now, crawling up the wall. Yet in his opinion he was sufficiently compensated for this worsening of his condition by the fact that towards evening the living room door, which he used to watch intently for an hour or two beforehand, was always thrown open, so that lying in the darkness of his room, invisible to the family, he could see them all at the lamp-lit table, listen to their talk, by general consent as it were, very different from his earlier eavesdropping. True, their intercourse lacked the lively character of former times, which he had always called to mind with a certain wistfulness in the small hotel bedrooms where he had been wont to throw himself down, tired out on damp bedding. They were now mostly very silent. Soon after supper, his father would fall asleep in his armchair. His mother and sister would admonish each other to the silent. His mother, bending low over the lamp, stitched a fine sewing for an underwear firm. His sister, who had taken a job as a salesgirl, was learning shorthand and French in the evening on the chance of bettering herself. Sometimes his father woke up, and is quite unaware he had been sleeping, and his mother, "What a lot of sewing you're doing today," and at once fell asleep again, while the two women exchanged a tired smile. The kind of mullishness his father persisted in keeping the uniform on, even in the house. His dressing gown hung uselessly on its peg as he slept, fully dressed where he sat, as if he were ready for service at any moment, and even here only at the beck and call of his superior. As a result, his uniform, which was not brand new to start with, began to look dirty, despite all the loving care of his mother and sister to keep it clean. Gregor often spent the whole evenings gazing at the many greasy spots on the garments, gleaming with gold buttons, always in the high state of polish in which the old man sat sleeping in extreme discomfort, and yet quite peacefully. As soon as the clock struck 10, his mother tried to rouse his father with gentle words to persuade him after that to go into bed, but sitting there he could not have a proper sleep. And that was what he needed most, since he had to go on duty at 6. But with the mullishness that had obsessed him since he became a blank messenger, he always insisted on staying longer at the table. Although he regularly fell asleep again, and in the end only with the greatest trouble could be out of his armchair and into his bed, never instantaneously. Gregor's mother and sister kept urging him with gentle reminders. He would go on slowly, shaking his head for a quarter of an hour, keeping his eyes shut, and refusing to get up to his feet. Mother plucked at his sleeve, whispering endearments in his ear. His sister left her lessons to come to her mother's help, but Gregor's father was not to be caught. He would only sink down deeper in his armchair until the two women hoisted him up by the armpits. Then he opened his eyes and looked at them both, one after the other, usually with the remark, "This is life. This is the peace and quiet of my old age." Leaning on the two of them, he would heave himself up with difficulty as if he was a great burden to himself. suffer them and lead him to the door, and then we wave them off, go alone, whilst Muller abandoned her needlework and insisted the penitent order to run after him to help her father.